Watch the ride.
I just need to mention that this RGNT, or Regent #1 Classic SE, is on loan to me from English Electric Motor Co. to do some videos and a review on, and then this is one of the videos I'm going to do. Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. As you may know, I've made many videos to help new riders get onto motorcycles, whether that be learning the licenses, getting through the CBT, how to ride the bike, how to fix the bike, everything. I've done videos for it. So have a look at my playlist. Today I want to do a crash course in how to ride an electric motorcycle, because unlike petrol bikes, this is simple. Now clearly it does depend on what electric bike you have, exactly what buttons you're going to press and exactly how certain things work and exactly what levers are where, but I'm going to try and cover that and then we're going to get on. So all electric bikes, bar one or two, use the same sort of control setup. No clutch, no gearbox. Some of them will have a foot brake here for the rear brake like a normal petrol motorcycle, but some of them don't. On this bike, the front brake is on your right-hand side like all normal motorcycles, but on the right-hand side, rather than the clutch, you have a combined rear brake and front brake at the same time. Mostly rear, but with a little bit of front. That is to do with European legislation that if it hasn't got ABS, it has to have combined brakes, and that's why they've done it that way on this. So with electrics, your front brake is on your right hand always. Your rear brake might be on your right foot, but it might also be on your left hand. How you charge the bike and all those sorts of things is again going to be dependent on your motorcycle and what electric one you've gone for. This actually also doesn't really matter about power as such, whether you've got a small electric or a big electric. I've reviewed lots of them, if you want to check out that as well. So this bike is keyless. I mean, it does have a key, but it doesn't have a keyhole other than one on the side of the bike for a cubby hole. This works by detecting that this is in your pocket, and it allows you to just walk up to the bike and turn it on. Many electrics have that. Okay, so on this bike, we press the power button. That unlocks the steering lock so we can bring the bars up, and then we can lift the side stand up with our foot. Now a good idea is to hold the bike on a brake. So now, we can't move and we're in a stable position. Bike starts up, then however you get your bike to go into drive mode, I press that button for this one, do that. Unlike a petrol bike, although it is kind of like a petrol automatic, this is just twist and go. So to ride, you just give it a little twist, and apply the throttle as you need. Remember, when you go into a corner, you want to be off the throttle, and as you go through the corner, you get back on it and drive out the other side. I'll show you that in a minute. You can have a constant throttle if it's a narrow turn, but normally you're going to be off the throttle as you enter and back on it as you leave. And this is basically it. You twist the throttle and you go. You want to go faster? Twist it more. If you want to go slower, let go of the throttle. It will naturally slow down a bit on its own. If it's got regen, that'll be a bit more. If it's a bike like this that has extra regen when you put the throttle forwards, you slow down even more. But you basically just creep up to that point where you're doing the speed you want and just hold the throttle there. If you get to a hill, you might have to increase throttle. If you go downhill, decrease throttle. But that's basically it. And that's one of the things that's good about electric bikes. Anyone can ride these. Sorry, I need to get away from this car that just wants to sit up my butt continuously. You say, now I'm doing shoulder checks and things, doing indications. This is all the stuff that you're supposed to do and you'll be required to do to pass your CBT. Okay, so say I want to turn down here. Slow down a bit as we get towards it. Off the throttle and the brakes as we roll through here. Get the throttle on a bit more now and go. That's it. That's how you do corners on a motorcycle. It's a lot more complicated if you've got a petrol and you're playing gears and downshifting and all that sort of stuff, but in this sort of scenario, slow to a comfortable speed, lean in, look the way you want to go, roll onto the throttle as you exit the corner, and repeat. And the only difference between doing that slowly and quickly is your confidence level and how fast you're trying to do it. Again, slow down. Obviously you want to make sure that it is clear to go. Here we go. Now there are a few manoeuvres you're required to do on a bike when you do a test, so I'm going to do those now and just show you how that's done, and then you can apply that when you're asked. Okay, so when it comes to a turn in the road, you'll be in a situation like this and you have to turn around in this distance. They'll give you it's wider than this normally. So the way this is done is you check the shoulder check, look up and down the road, shoulder check, indicate to make sure people know you're going to go, shoulder check before you turn. Turn, you can drag that rear brake. Now this is a very narrow place to do this, but there we go, turn in the road. You'll have more space. Another one is like the slalom, where you have to imagine you have some cones in front of you and you're supposed to go up and down them and then go around the last one and come back on yourself. It's just a way to practice slow control. If we were doing that, it literally would just be a case of going like this, oh, around that one, oh, around that one, and I'm just on and off the throttle as needed. You can drag the rear brake as you go to add more control, basically to hold you back a bit, and you balance between those two to make it more controllable. I think you can do this. Makes it easier than trying to do it with just the throttle and no brake, because it's a little bit of take up on electric before it starts working. So that's where it's a little harder on electric to do some manoeuvres. Another manoeuvre is the emergency stop, and the way they're going to practice this with you is they will have you ride towards them at like 30, and then they'll put their hand up and say stop, and your idea is to stop as quickly and as safely as you can. On a petrol bike this is a lot more difficult, especially if it's a manual, and if it's got not ABS or anything like that, then you have to make sure you don't lock the wheels up. With something like this, which has got linked brakes, it's designed to not lock the wheels up. If it's got ABS, then again, not going to lock the wheels up, and you don't have the same problem. So instead of being like, be careful doing this, so it's like, 70% this, 20% that, blah, 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 blah. You do need to do that if you've got independent braking. But otherwise, if I need to stop this bike from 30, I'll start with the front lever and then pull the rear one. I locked up badly. Okay, fair enough. This can lock up. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, 30. More front brake, then get on the back. No marks. We succeeded. So the procedure of that is throttle off, front brake on, rear brake on. As you can see here, I'm just laying off the throttle, getting on the throttle, and going around the corner. I'm being more aggressive now, I'm being faster. This comes with confidence and practice. I've been riding bikes for 15 years, 20 odd years off-road as well, and I've reviewed, 100 motorcycles at this point. I am kind of a professional motorcycle reviewer, but I'm also a content creator that makes other content, so I can't say that exactly, but I kind of am. But my point is basically, I'm very experienced. Don't imagine you'll be doing this on day one. And also be aware that you will get to a point where your confidence will outstrip your skill, and you will find the difference, and that's normally the side of the road. Be aware of that. The most confident you'll ever be is as a new rider when you get over that initial fear. You regain it. All bikers do, because something goes wrong. You can see here, when you combine it all together, a little electric like this becomes a very nippy, useful little machine to get around town, go and have some fun on. Also, obviously, as you're on an electric motorcycle, you need to be aware that people cannot hear you. Now, they do say, when you ride a petrol, act like no one can see you and no one can hear you. You actually are going to have to do that, because people cannot see you and cannot hear you. They won't see you because you're on a motorcycle, so you're invisible, and that's regardless of what bike you're on. They won't hear you because, well, you're not making any noise, and even if you were making noise, they'll probably have headphones in, or a very sound deadened car, or it's a bit difficult to say where the sound of the engine's coming from, so it's not as safe having all that noise as people like to think, and in a way that might give them an amount of overconfidence that people know where they are. And that's basically it. Brakes on, get down to a nice speed to turn in, and throttle out. Practice, you'll get it. You will get it, but it is so much easier to learn on an electric. I'm not the biggest fan of people being put onto automatic scooters who are then going to get a manual bike. But if you're going to get an electric in the end, and that's the way bikes are going, then you really only need to learn on an auto. You don't need to know the manual. I think you should still, just so you can ride anything. But if you have problems with it, it's always an option. See what I mean about you can just get around town at such a pace, only doing 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, but because you're just so fluid and so easy. Okay, and then there's one last thing. Many electric motorcycles have something that other petrol bikes don't have, such as this. It's reverse. This is how you parallel park a motorcycle. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Oh, I do think having reverse on bikes is it's funny. It's good. I like having it. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just turning the motor in reverse. So why not, eh? Why not? there we go. I hope that demystified, if there was any mystique, the process of riding an electric motorcycle. It's a lot of fun. It is different to petrol bikes. You will deal with a lot of people who don't like electrics, but I'd say don't listen to them, because I get to ride more petrol bikes than most people. I get to experience bikes that cost absolute fortunes in money, and I absolutely love riding electric motorcycles. And I take stick every time I put a review up or a bike on an electric that people are saying to me, you know, oh, we don't like that, I don't care. They're not riding it, they're not having the fun. Good luck on your journey on two wheels. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new here. If you've got any questions, whack them in the comments, and if you want to help support this channel, please consider doing that through Patreon. Until the next one, bye bye.